Hello!
Who remembers Scalextrics then? I'll bet we all do. Or at the very least, we all remember some kind of electric slot car racing system that haunted our childhoods. You know the sort of thing, you had those black slabs of plastic you fitted together to form a track. There were a couple of grooves in it filled with metal that formed a complete electric circuit, so you could put your little toy car in it and it'd go zooming round, and the more you squeezed the hand controller thing, the quicker the car went. Until eventually it went a bit too quick on a corner and flew off and broke something, and he got in trouble with somebody's mum. Ah, those were the days. Those bloody things. They took ages to set up, didn't they? They cost a bloody fortune. Never had any myself. They'd lose connection. I remember if a car went over a couple of parts too far sometimes, the little contacts had come away and you'd have to stop in the middle of a race and fix it. You know, just like doesn't actually happen in Formula One, do you? My other main memory is some people got a bit too much into it. There was always like one weird kid who had like toy spectators at the side of the track, which is all a little bit troubling, really. Probably grew up to be like 3 different types of accountant, that kid. Anyway, that was the 80s. In the 90s, they had one that had a loop-the-loop. I remember seeing it advertised on television. Never actually saw one, but had a name like Aurora or Vertigo or something, or both. Was it the Vertigo by Aurora or something like that? That does ring a bell. Anyway, it had a loop-the-loop. I think the cars were smaller. It looked cool. Might source one of those for review one day. There's a thought. Anyway, let's forget about that at the moment, because now we live in the supercharged future where we've got like amazing technology that lets us communicate with anybody else over the planet, and we almost exclusively use it to make other people feel bad, to try and make ourselves feel better. Because that's how we work, apparently. But when we're not wasting our time doing that, we can make cool things like massively upgraded Scalextric systems. And, as you've probably guessed, the one we'll be looking at today is the Anki Overdrive. And yes, it is pronounced Unki, not Anki. I know that because the app says it when you started it up. Not to be confused, of course, with the Wanky Overdrive, which is something that will injure you very quickly and you should never, ever try. So yeah, this is the second version. There was something called the Anki Drive originally. This is like the Overdrive, which is a betterer one, but is apparently still backwards compatible with the old cars, which is nice. Now, the people who make this have actually been offering me one to review for bloody ages. I think back to the original version of the Drive, but I've never had enough room to set it up until now, because I've got an office and it's got like a big flat floor. So the time has come to overdrive. See, I used part of the product's name as a verb there. That was good, wasn't it? Let's look at some plastic cars then. These are the 2 cars that come with a starter kit on the charging device here, which you can just plug into a USB port and away you go. But it does come with its own adapter, which is nice, isn't it? Look, it's ground shock. It's like a blue car. Now, you'll notice these are quite nicely produced things. They're very, very light. Astonishingly light, in fact. They've got a little motor in, and that seems to be about all. But, my goodness, they go along at a fair rate of knots, and they've got all the lights and things that flash and look cool. Bang, bang. Also, they're really well made, because we've smashed these things together at quite high speed into each other repeatedly whilst playing around with them, and there's not even a chip of paint off them. It is quite astonishing in its way, but they are quite expensive, as we shall come on to later, so you would expect it, I suppose. So how does this work then? Well, there's a track. Would you like to see some of the track? I've got a couple of the curved bits here. As you can see, it's basically cardboard that has been treated with a sort of very hard-wearing covering and all that, so it doesn't get all ripped up and naff. And when you want to fit it together to a different track, all you need to do is push it together and wait for it. It just clicks together with 2 powerful magnets. Well, I say 2 powerful magnets, I mean 4, 2 on each piece. Do you see how that works? It really is as easy as that. It's bloody great, actually. It's really quick to set up new tracks as a direct result, so that's nice. The weakness of the track, of course, is that it does get lots of dust and dirt on it. In fact, I think it manages to teleport dirt in from other countries. It gets so dusty so quickly, which then, of course, transfers to the wheels of the cars and makes them a bit slipperier. So they actually give you a device to clean the wheels of the cars, which is bloody useful, actually, and very effective. So hats off for that, lads. So how does it work then? Why is this actually better than the old Scalextrics? Well, I shall tell you, my friends. Basically, you control it via an app on your smartphone. It's out for Android and iOS. I think, I don't know if there is a Windows Phone version. Probably not, because there very rarely is for anything, which is a shame. Poor Microsoft. If you see Microsoft, give them a kiss and they feel better. Yeah, you control it via an app. You've got a little speed throttle on it, much like Scalextric's, but you've got a couple of added things. The first added thing is that by tilting your phone, you can change lanes. It's effectively 4 lanes on each piece of track, and you can swap between them to get into the faster bit as you're going into corners and get round people and all that sort of stuff. And also, here's the interesting bit. The cars have weapons, virtual weapons, obviously. They don't actually like fire real lasers or something. That would be, frankly, probably unholy. But yeah, you can sort of nip behind people and shoot them with your gun, and some have areas of effect around a car, and some of them fire a cone in front. They're all a bit different, and you can get different ones as you go along, because there's like an XP system, but we'll get into that later. So how does it work? Kind of by magic? Not really, but I tell you, when you first see these bloody things, you put them on the track, they connect via Bluetooth to your phone, and my God, when they first start going around the track on their own, it is like they are possessed by many different demons. It is incredibly impressive. It's one of those things you can show your dad or your granddad, and they'll be like, oh, bloody hell, that's amazing, that is. And then you'll wonder why they're talking like that, and, you know, you're worried there's something wrong with them. But hey, that's how these things work. Yeah, one of the coolest bits, actually, is when you first put them on a track that you've built yourself, they do like a test lap round it, at which point it maps out the track so the computer knows what's going on. And you see a little map appear on your phone. That's quite nifty. So, yeah, they are kind of controlled by the phones, presumably, on the computers inside. You have control over the speed and the lanes and the weapons and stuff, as I say, but the actual steering and that going round, the computer knows what it's doing, which is very, very clever. One of the most impressive things of it, in fact, is that you can have AI-controlled cars. Seriously, the computer can control 3, 2, 1 cars, and you can race against them, which is a hell of a thing going on. It actually means there is a single-player mode, like a sort of video game set up as you would expect, with a sort of career mode thing going on. Gotta say, it's interesting enough, but it does feel a bit like 90s budget game from the sense of, well, the writing and the characters and stuff. Yeah, and they got voices, and frankly, it's one of those things where every character is a different type of stereotype. Cue example.
Time to get her done, Bubba. Better bring a truckload of gumption, 'cause Brick's gonna be all over you like a bear on a fish market dumpster.
Brick, my simple friend, this upstart is challenging the honor of my crew. Remember my instructions. Watch the drifting, drafting, and downforce. Monitor power core levels and...
You done, Cabin? I got a job to do. This Challenger looks anxious for a schooling.
So yeah, that's a thing. As I said before, you can earn XP when you win races. You get that in multiplayer as well. You can use that to buy upgrades for your car and different weapons and things. Although, annoyingly, we will occasionally give you upgrades for cars you don't own. So to use that, you'd have to go off and buy another car, of which there are several. Look, there's a green one called Nuke and a red one called Thermo. They've all got this kind of retro-futuristic vibe, which I quite like. The other major question you've probably got is, how does the multiplayer work? And the answer is very easily. You all just have a smartphone, you all connect to the same Wi-Fi network, and it just works. We tested this with an iOS phone versus an Android phone, and they worked absolutely perfectly. And much fun was had. Anyway, enough of this sofa crap. Here's cool footage and music. Sorry. So yes, this is basically the coolest thing ever. It's super fun, it's technically amazing, it's very well built, you have seen all that. And I'll tell you what, it absolutely breaks the back of stuff like Skylanders, where, here is a small plastic figurine that doesn't do anything but things dance on the screen. Screw that. You've got actual things flying around a track at high speed, and it is as cool as arseholes. It really, really is a niftiness. Also, the battery life's very good. Surprisingly good, actually. The cars charge really quickly, and yeah, the battery went for ages. In fact, I managed to flatten the battery on my phone before I managed to flatten the cars once. Although I should say, I do have an iPhone 6S, which has the worst battery life of any phone I've ever owned by a considerable margin. So maybe that's not the best yardstick to measure that by. Well, now we get into the problems, don't we? Well, longevity is an obvious problem because, once you've raced around a few times and done some niftinesses, what else you're going to do? Well, you want as many bits of track as possible. I think that is one thing, because the more bits of track you've got, the more variety you've got going on. It's a lot of fun just to build the different tracks, to be fair. You can also buy bits, which I didn't show you today because I haven't got, like there's jumps. You can literally buy a jump so your cars go up in the air and land on another bit. That's how jumps work, in case you didn't know. You can have bank turns with rails to stop them going off when they're going around the corners. You don't really need that to an extent, though, because you can improvise by like sticking your shoe underneath it to lift the track up and stuff. That all actually works very well. A lot of fun can be had just seeing what you can create with what you've got knocking around the house. The upgrades help as well, upgrades being, the virtual weapon system thing where you get different weapons and it plays a bit differently, although I have got to say, for me, the weapons were actually a bit of a downer, and we had more fun playing with it, ignoring the weapons and just racing than we did using the weapons. See, the problem is kind of the system moving away from what it's best at, because the whole cool thing is these are real physical cars that go around a track. But, of course, the guns and weapon systems are entirely virtual. All you see is some flashing of lights on the cars, and another car might stop or something might happen, or the lights might flash back in a response. And really, that's not very exciting as compared to the physical stuff. I mean, I know you can't have physical weapons, but the whole juxtaposition of, it's all real and it's all really cool, and the weapons aren't really, they're a bit airy-fairy, it's all a bit video gamey, but you can't see what's going on. Because at least in a game, you would have the visual feedback. You've got very, very little here. And, yeah, it makes it a bit naff, to be honest. It just doesn't gel with the whole thing to me. So we just literally ignored it and just raced, and it was far more fun for us anyway. Maybe we're just old farts, but I seriously think the mixing of the virtual and the real doesn't quite work on that front. But other than that, a wholehearted recommendation, because frankly, it's bloody amazing. Oh wait, there's always a big problem, isn't there? And at home, you've probably guessed it, and it's the fact that it's bloody expensive. Really expensive, in fact. The problem is, it's all fairly high-tech, isn't it? And that comes at a cost, especially when it's well built. Right, the starter kit, the RRP, recommended retail price, is £150, although we're going to go by current Amazon pricing, which is £140 at the time of recording this. With that starter kit, you get the majority of what you saw in the videos earlier. You get these two cars, you get loads of corners and straight bits and some elevated bits, so it goes over other parts of the track, and you got your thing that cleans the wheels and the thing that charges the cars. That's quite important as well. The app is free to download, I should point out. They're not charging for that. They're not evil. But the cost of the extras, oh boy. These cars, £50 each. I shit ye not, comrades. The speed kit, which is a few straight pieces of track, that's £20. The few extra corners in the corner kit, that's £20. The collision kit, which is a single piece that you see with the sort of cross, so the cars will hit each other, that is £30 for that one piece. That means the stuff I was sent and that I showed you in the videos earlier comes to a total of £310 at current Amazon prices. And that's a lot of bloody money. You can literally get, a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One or something for that. So yeah, it's really bloody cool, and, it's massively impressive and all that sort of stuff, but it's bloody pricey. Kind of the digital equivalent of a girlfriend who's 20 years younger than you are.
Subscribe for that begin.